Is the MCU back on track? Do we think that Captain America Brave New World is something to rant and rave and be happy about? Let's find out. We saw Captain America A Brave New World, and I'm going to say this easily one of my top 20 movies. No. But all jokes aside, just to like get it off the board, it wasn't the best.
Okay.
It wasn't the worst, but I had fun watching it.
It was definitely a fun movie. It was more than serviceable. It's not as bad. Come here. Come here. Look, do not listen to this critics. If you're a Marvel fan, MCU fan, see it for yourself. It's better than other recent outings that we've gotten in the MCU, better than the Marvels, better than Ant-Man Quantumania. It's definitely better than other movies that came out pre-Infinity War. But it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's a step in the right direction for the MCU. And like I said in the short, Anthony Mackie is the man. He's a fun Captain America. He's truly embracing this role.
There you go. Now, I will say this: the the CGI, not so great, not so great. The fight scenes a bit choppy, but I can counter that by saying it's a bit choppy because it's real humans fighting, right? We're
Right.
not. It's not somebody with a super soldier serum that can leap and do all these acrobatic things. We're talking about just a regular human being who's a bit athletic that was able to do this stuff.
With a badass suit with wings.
Right. I mean, I will say this: the aerial fights over Tiamat, fantastic,
Amazing.
fantastic. So let's go into the nitty gritty, right? Let's just talk about some of the characters. Like, for instance, Giancarlo Esposito, right? I don't know whether he was a better fit in this movie than, let's say, Seth Rollins playing one of the Serpent Society guys, but I felt you had somebody, a grade A actor like Giancarlo Esposito, and you wasted him on that character.
In the scenes he did do, he was great. But I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to see more of him. He could have definitely been more of a scene stealer.
Well, he was. Everywhere he was in, he was a scene stealer. The problem is that you put him as I don't know, like a C, D level villain. Why?
Right.
He should have been a grade A villain.
Like, there was talks of him taking on one of the leads for the future X-Men movie.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
rumor that I think was debunked a few times, but
yeah, I know, but like he brings a coolness, a swagger to his character. Like the scene in the church where Sam throws the shield at him, and when his back's turned, he moves his head, so like he knew it was coming.
right.
But the sequence where he ambushes when Sam's driving in his pickup truck, reminded me of when Nick Fury got ambushed by Winter Soldier
Yes.
in Captain America Winter Soldier years
Well,
ago.
that's the thing though. There was a lot of things that happened in this movie that were almost, I wouldn't say word for word, not even word for word, more like scene to scene of what happened in Winter Soldier.
In some ways, yeah, it does take place mostly in Washington D.C.
Right.
It also pays tribute to it.
Right. But again, is it as good or let me rephrase? Is it as great as Winter
No,
Soldier?
not at all.
It's not. But enjoyable nonetheless. So, what did you think about Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon?
He was very good. He definitely a nice expansion from his role from Falcon and Winter Soldier. There was definitely parts of that show. You definitely had to watch the show to understand certain characters that they brought from the show onto the big screen. He was a good number two to Sam, a good Falcon. He definitely took on like that emotional role, when he got shot down over the water, similar to what from Civil War.
Rhodey.
Exactly. and they had to be a casualty of some kind to raise the stakes for Sam.
Right.
So he was really good, but you definitely had to watch that show. But maybe they set it up in a way where the movie where you didn't have to see it. Uh, Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley.
The destroyer of words, ladies and gentlemen, Carl Lumbly.
Carl Lumbly, yeah, that's right. He was great as Isaiah Bradley, like in the beginning, to establish that he's finally getting his acknowledgement and credibility. He's invited to the White House, but unfortunately, the events of the movie, he gets brainwashed. He tries to assassinate the president.
Right, and here's the thing. That's one of the things that I hated about this movie.
I didn't mind it.
No, let me rephrase. I didn't hate that happened. I hated the fact that they put mind control in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, you couldn't think of something else. Well, why did it have to be him? Like, I get it. Like, he was amazing in this movie.
He
right?
was.
But the problem is like, okay, we've done the mind control before. We've done time travel before. We've done all these tropes. Like, let's do something slightly different. I'm not saying it was the worst thing ever, but there was a lot of holes in the inconsistency of the mind control. Like, all of a sudden, this random song was able to tell you what to do. That's what kind of threw me off.
One of the highlights of the movie, how about the legendary Harrison Ford entering the MCU, taking over a role that was done by previous actor William Hurt. Can you believe that the backstory, that it was Harrison Ford that approached Marvel Studios? Like, he had his agent contact them. They set up a meeting, and Kevin Feige's like, "Oh, we usually don't do that." And then when he found out the actor's like Harrison Ford, yes, he toured the studios, and he expressed interest in this character, and he just wanted to do something different.
And I agree. He did do something different. I think that Hurt would most likely never be able, God rest your soul, sir. He would never be able to do the same thing that Harrison Ford was able to do in this movie.
Right.
Like, all the emotional stuff and everything that Harrison did was just, it was chef's kiss, right?
Yeah, and it gave that movie that extra boost, that extra star power.
Right.
Like, Anthony Mackie definitely was the lead, and he carried the story on his own as the lead. But Harrison Ford always, for in his legendary career, as in the Indiana Jones movie, Star Wars as Han Solo, he has his legendary career, and he brings that to this even now into his 80s. What do you think about that scene? Like, they did a flashback with him with the mustache.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I liked it. Whatever. Like, I get it. They had to make it look like it was back then. But forget about all that. The most wasted character in this whole thing is, can you tell me who?
Liv Tyler coming back as Betsy.
Yes. Liv Tyler coming back as Betsy Ross. Now, I get the way they did it. They tried to make him more emotional or anything like that, but she should have shown up when he got shot at. Like, oh my God, my father got shot at the White House. Let me go see how he is. Instead, you had to wait the whole movie to a scene of her outside his jail cell.
She definitely filmed other scenes for this movie. Probably one of the criticisms of the movie was all the reshoots that it got reshot. Like, if you recall in the trailer, there was a funeral.
Yep.
Like, was President Ross not going to survive? And
I don't think so. I think in the original version of this, I think that Ross died.
Right.
And that was his funeral. And Betsy was there, probably like, "Oh, I should have spoke to him. I feel bad," or blah, blah, blah. And
like, one thing that would have been cool, like, it would have been, again, it would have been copying a movie from the past, is like her calming down her dad in like the way Black Widow calmed down the Hulk. Hey there, the sun's getting a little real early, whatever the line was.
Yeah, that would have. Look, as much as I want to say that line would have been great, it would have not worked for this.
But Red Hulk looked amazing.
He did look, and he looked very Harrison Ford-like. I loved it, but whoever made the trailers for these movies should never do these again.
Too many red herrings.
Not only I don't know about red herrings. It was just like, you should have never showed the world Red Hulk. It should have been a secret because letting us know that the leader was the bad guy was plenty of suspense enough. The fact that you brought in the trailers Red Hulk ruined it because it's like towards the end of the movie, if you all of a sudden got Red Hulk, you'd be like, yo!
But that was one of the selling points.
And that's, I disagree on that.
I know what you're saying, and I kind of agree with you, but that was one of the selling points and one of the marketing leading up and the hype of the movie that, Red Hulk, how could you keep something like that a secret?
See, they could have easily made this movie 10 minutes longer by just adding the Serpent Society being like the red herring, like these are the major bad guys throughout the whole movie, and then all of a sudden in the last 7 minutes of the movie, oh my God, Red Hulk.
Did you hit 2 questions for you? Did this movie feel like Hulk 1.5, and do you think Mark Ruffalo should have been in this movie one way or another, maybe even come in, that should have been the surprise to rescue Sam Wilson? What's your take on both of those things?
Mark Ruffalo showing up, that would have been cool, not needed.
Not as Hulk or
either or.
Or as Bruce.
Either or.
Okay.
To me, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been nice, but not needed. Now, I said when we watched the movie, I said it, and I firmly believe this movie is more. It feels like this with all Captain America movies, right? It's like they say, "Oh, let's just do a filler, and just instead of having an Avengers 3, we'll have Civil War, which will be Avengers 2.5." In this sense, it is Incredible Hulk 1.5 because as much as I like the fact, it's like you're taking a Hulk villain and putting him in a Captain America movie. You mean to tell me that there's no other characters that they could have used for Captain America? You had to go and take a character from a movie that came out, 15 years ago and rehash him to do this? Anybody could have been the bad guy. It didn't have to be the leader. They could have picked anybody. It could have been somebody from Hydra. It could have been somebody from AIM. It could have been anybody. Except what did you do? You brought in a Hulk character. Like, oh, let's finish his story. He's not Cody Rhodes.
Damn it. Get out of my head. I was going to say that. But overall, it's way better than what certain people are saying.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable movie, and that's all that really matters.
It's a good popcorn flick. Look at the suit. He started with the white. He evolved into more of the blue. The wings, the shield.
The wings are now gone. He got clipped by the Red Hulk, so...
I'm pretty sure he has Wakanda on speed dial, and they'll get him a new suit.
It's possible. It's possible.
Oh, we all popped big, to use another wrestling term, when Sebastian Stan as Bucky came on screen.
Yeah, that was something I was hoping for, and I actually got that made me go, holy shit, they actually did it, which made me think maybe Cap might show up in Thunderbolts.
And Anthony Mackie might do a cameo in...
Why not? If Sebastian Stan can make a cameo in Captain America...
It's certainly possible. Maybe like not a blink and you missed it. Like he interacts with Bucky like the same way Bucky interacted with him at the hospital.
Right. Now, since you brought that up, I am so pissed off about that. You mean to tell me...
I think I know where you're going with this.
Why is no one talking about this? So Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky, the Winter Soldier, who, as we all know, is a mass murderer. He is an assassin. And what does he do? I'm going to run for Congress. There is no way in hell we are going to have a murderer like that in Congress, which makes me think that in Thunderbolts, he loses, and that's why he helps round up everyone for the Thunderbolts.
Or maybe since he has friends in high places, S.H.I.E.L.D., Tony Stark up till he dies, Steve Rogers, etc., that his past could get wiped underneath the carpet.
Well, they said it was expunged, but still.
And then that's going to get exposed in Thunderbolts, where that costs him the election, that forces him into action to team up with the rest of those misfits. But who knows? It was a nice it was a nice nod to past movies that he was in and seed planted to lead into Thunderbolts, which
Yeah.
easily could have been the after credits. One of the after credits scene. Speaking of the after credits, do you think that was a waste or it was a cool thing to plant the seeds for Avengers?
Okay. Now, it's not. All right. How do I explain this? I don't believe that every single movie should have Easter eggs, should have something to set up the other movie. Sometimes you just need a movie just to be that.
A standalone.
Movie, a standalone. We sometimes need that. Now, that end credit scene could be the way for you to connect all the other movies together, right?
Of course.
This end credit scene, as shitty as it was, did absolutely nothing. It told us nothing because we already know that's going to happen. It just showed the leader again saying like, oh, big things are going to happen. We know this, dude. Tell us something we don't know. So,
but again, it's nice. Unlike previous movies with other after credit scenes that just there just to have an after credit scene or just for a laugh, we finally got seeds planted for the movie. I mean, even going back to the beginning of the movie when Sam has a meeting with President Ross saying, "I want you to reestablish the Avengers. I want you to be the leader."
right.
So that's in motion, and then saying, "Oh, there's other worlds out there. This is not the only world. My probability, blah, yada yada yada."
Right. Yeah, I don't feel like we needed that. It's like, but then again, I also would rather that than them do something like they did with Kang, which got us all hyped up that there's going to be the Council of Kangs, and now we're not going to have that anymore. Also, it could be as stupid as, let's say, Thor: Love and Thunder, where we were introduced to Hercules, and we know that's not going to go anywhere.
But with that after credits scene, at least it's connected to a future movie, unlike Thor: Love and Thunder, where that movie's not guaranteed to happen.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree that I would have rathered what we got,
Yes.
but even if they didn't give us something, it's okay. Like,
Right.
what they could have done was another end credit scene with like maybe I don't know, with Betty Ross just doing something or walking away and you see Hulk walking behind her like, hey Betty, like that would have been cool. That could have made you think that, oh shit, the Incredible Hulk and Betty are back together again.
Like have Mark Ruffalo do his cameo there with Betsy, or do a second one where with Bucky and he gets approached by Elaine from Seinfeld.
Right,
and
exactly.
To lead into the Thunderbolts.
These would have been better. This would have been better than what we got. What we got was pointless. So yeah, that's my answer to that. Pointless.
But overall, we liked it. It's enjoyable. Go see it.
Yeah. With that said, let us know in the comment section down below. Do you think Marvel's back? Or do you think that Marvel is going to need a lot more help? Let us know in the comment section down below.